Coach, you got a trip to Columbia, Missouri coming up on Saturday, yet another SEC road test. Before we talk about Missouri, though, you throw in the tape for Georgia. Of course, offensively struggled to really build any momentum, but you talked about taking advantage of the opportunities that were given to your team. Has that been something kind of this week, kind of cashing in on those opportunities heading into Missouri?
Yeah, and it's something that you can certainly, it shows up in practice. But those are also game moments. You know, you need in big games to have your best players step up, and we've seen that happen for us this year. When you're playing against the number one team in the country, you can't miss. You know, and we had chances in the first half to keep the game close, to keep the game competitive, and we weren't able to finish those plays, and the game got away from us. You know, there are also things there defensively that are within our control that we can do better, and I think this program's still learning about, you know, its own power and you know, in performance, the things that we can do to put pressure on the opponent, and we need to continue to evolve in that way because we got a tough challenge this weekend at Missouri.
Coach, in the heat of battle, of course, in the middle of an SEC season, how do you keep things in perspective as a staff for the guys in the locker room to kind of keep them, you know, headed in the right direction? Of course, as you mentioned, with a great opportunity on the road against Missouri.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, this is what the challenge of building a program is about. You know, we're right in the middle of it, and there is perspective to be gained because we have improved, and even though that hasn't reflected the scores. You know, we can see measurable differences in the manner in which we're playing, but yet, you know, we will go as far as we allow ourselves to go, and that starts with a mindset. And so, what happens when you know, take on bad results and you don't play to your ability, and the game gets away from you, is it starts to beat you up mentally. And we have to be a resilient group. We've been talking a lot about that this week. I know this team cares a lot about what we're doing, and that cares a lot about each other, and I expect them to bounce back. But we don't take for granted the idea that you know, we're in the throes of this thing right now, and we need to not just respond, but actually interject in the moment to get some positive momentum back for us. That's important, and if we can do that, there's a lot left for this team to accomplish. And so we're taking the mindset that we're fighting to extend our season, and, you know, again, this is an opportunity this week to work on that against Missouri.
Coach, you talked about positive momentum. You guys were able to build that early in the season with a few wins, of course, but, you know, trying to refine that, of course, is tough, as you mentioned. How important is learning how to fight from adversity, you know, in the throes of battle for a young program like this, not just a young team, but a young overall program build? So how important is it to learn how to fight through that adversity and build down the stretch of a season?
Yeah, I think we want to work to a point where we're carrying a dominant mindset to the field, and we're operating from a position of strength for 4 quarters. And that means that you can't allow negative play or a string of negative plays to disarm you. And you know, I don't look at the Georgia game and say, you know, we were overwhelmed by negative plays. We never stepped into the moment and made a play to shift the energy on the field. You know, I did feel like in the third quarter our defense battled, and you saw some counter punching going on, and we held them to 6 points there, 2 field goals, and there's some things to build on in that way, but we have to be a team that can dictate energy on the field. We have to be a team that knows its strength and steps into what makes it dangerous. And you know, we didn't do that against Georgia, and when you don't do that against the best teams in the country, they're going to make you pay for it. And it doesn't, you know, for us to play at a higher level as a team, for us to be able to extend drives on offense, is you're going to limit some exposure. You're going to take points away from the opponent, and, you know, when you do that, along with scoring points on your own side, then you have a chance to make those games close, and you have a chance to put some pressure on the other team.
In our last few meetings, Coach, you've talked about, you know, we're learning what gaps we need to close with our program, offensively, defensively, with the staff in every aspect. have you been able to kind of grasp what specifically those gaps are that you guys need to close in order to, maybe down the stretch pick off, another win or two here?
Yeah, we have to improve play at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Again, our offense is built around a physical run game, and when we're not able to get that going, we operate from a deficit, and so we're behind the chains and playing catch up. Defensively, I think we've held up well against the run. I did not like the way we played the run in the fourth quarter, and we've addressed that, but I felt like in the middle of that game, we were able to control the run game between the tackles pretty well. But we haven't been able to win one-on-ones in the pass rush. When you have a defense that's learning and growing on the move, it's nice to have some plays just be erased, and you're going to make mistakes. And this is true anywhere I've ever been. There's going to be someone out of position at times. There's going to be someone a little short on the drop at times. And when you have someone that can erase the down, that can problem solve for you on the run, you have a chance to learn from those mistakes without giving up touchdowns. We're just not afforded that opportunity. So, improving play in both lines of scrimmage, and that'll be, part of our obviously development plan moving forward. And then I think just the attention to detail defensively, and then narrowing the focus on offense. And it doesn't matter who you're playing against. The helmet doesn't matter. If you're behind the secondary, let's make the catch. If you have a chance to to convert on the third down, let's make the conversion. It's not challenging stuff. It's just playmakers making plays, and we can do that. We've shown that. Those are things that we need to do to close this gap, because in the end, when we do it, first half of Ole Miss, you see that we're competitive and we can not just play with the teams, but we can control the game. When we don't, obviously the game gets away from us quickly, and so our margins for error are very small, and we've got to tap into those every time we play.
Coach, the trip to Columbia, of course, another SEC road test for you guys. What can you tell us about Missouri? And they've shown some really good things this season, but they've also shown some signs of weaknesses. So, for you guys heading into Columbia, what is it going to take for you guys to compete for 4 quarters and potentially pull off a big victory?
This is a really good defense. I think I'd put the defense on par with the teams that we've been playing here recently. They're long and athletic and physical, and they play an aggressive style. We're going to have to be disciplined and persistent in the run game. We got to get that started. If we can show a persistence there and patience there, I do think that there's opportunities for us to break some runs. I think there's also, because of the aggressive nature of the defense, they're going to give us opportunities to win on the perimeter, and we need to win. So we'll be excited for that. On offense, this is a really good system. Coach Drinkowitz does a great job in his design. They're going to test you in terms of formations and plays, and they're going to position their players to stress you out. And we have to have clear lines of communication and detail and focus in execution. A lot of the, you can go back to the Georgia game and look at a 1st and 10 run that maybe creates a 2nd and 2. And there's an opportunity within that run for us, maybe it's at one position to execute a responsibility with a little more assertiveness, and all of a sudden that goes from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 11. Hesitancy creates space creates yards, and 1st and 10 to 2nd and 2 versus 1st and 10 to 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 11 is the difference between participating in the game and carrying a dominant mindset in the game. And so our defense needs to capitalize on those opportunities by playing as 1 of 11 and being aggressive and getting to our technique faster than the opponent.
That's Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee. A trip up to Columbia, Missouri awaits this Saturday for Vanderbilt. 3 o'clock kickoff on the SEC Network. Coach, once again, thanks for taking the time.
Great to be with you.